Stuart, thanks very much for joining us on day 2 of OTC. How's the show been for you so far?
Yeah, the show's been good actually. You know, I think everybody's come to OTC this year wondering what's it going to be like. Is it going to be busier or not so busy with Drill Baby Drill? So everybody's kind of relieved, I think, that there's still a lot of activity here.
Excellent. So you had your first event yesterday, which was your business breakfast. Tell us a little bit about the main points that came out of that.
Yeah, it's the first time we've done a business breakfast here at OTC because we've always done one successfully at ADIPEC. So it was really great turnout, really interesting speakers, and we were pleasantly surprised at the sort of insights that came out of it. Because again, you know, there's so much uncertainty in the tariff environment here. We weren't sure what the outcomes would be. And these business breakfasts, as you know, are all about setting the tone for the week. So I'd say there were 3 outcomes. First one was the great crew change. Not an easy thing to say, the great crew change, which we all talk about around the world, don't we, about as kind of the more experienced generation of people working in the oil and gas industry retiring. But actually here in Houston, it's really happening significantly. A lot of people retiring or being exited from the majors, and great concern that younger people are not coming into the industry to backfill those roles. So that actually is a bottleneck already that businesses are feeling. The second interesting outcome was, of course, we're in an environment here of Drill Baby Drill. And I think a lot of companies feel very positive about that and are expecting it to lead to fast increased drill rates. That hasn't happened yet, but it was kind of converted to it needs to become Explore Baby Explore. And I think generally companies, and we had an operator, we had an EPC, we had a manufacturer, and we had a representative of the governor's office speaking at the event, at the business breakfast event. And all of them are of the view that this is very likely to lead to increased exploration activity. And in a market like Gulf of Mexico, which actually they did yesterday call the Gulf of America, that looks like it's on a track to do that. And I'm sure that would be a positive outcome for everybody if that happens, but it takes time. It takes 2 to 3 years to get to that stage. So that kind of leads to one of the other points that came out generally, which is a lot of companies are still waiting. Is this going to change this view of, you know, Drill Baby Drill, or this view of tariffs or not? But I think finally a lot of companies are reflecting not just on what's happening now, but what's happened in the last 2 years, which is a lot of companies in this market here in the Gulf of Mexico market have seen a 50% cost increase of doing business in the last 2 years already. And now they're worried that tariffs are going to bring, with their complex supply chains that many companies have, even more cost increase. So I think overall it's kind of positive. It's like there's more opportunity to come. Drill Baby Drill should lead to Explore Baby Explore, but in the short term, companies are kind of waiting, hoping some of these tariff issues go away, or there's more cost going to come through.
I think it's quite similar. I think it's confirmation of the visibility of the market, so people can actually make a decision. I think whether it's good or bad, they need to have that kind of finality of actually knowing what the framework looks like. So moving on to OTC and this kind of international outlook, how important is it now that the supply chain companies have a global outlook on their business?
Yeah, well, firstly, let's talk about OTC then, which has been, I think, a pleasant surprise, because coming into this environment, we weren't sure. So we've got 27 companies in the UK Pavilion here, and we weren't sure whether the footfall would be good, whether the talk would be positive or negative, and I think it has been a positive show. And the metric of that, it comes down to ultimately to when you speak to companies exhibiting in the UK Pavilion here, are they getting the same number of leads as they did last year? And last year was a boom year in oil and gas, and we use that language because when we talk to our members, that many of them would say, I think 90% or more of them would say last year was a boom year for them, and in this market as well. So great number of leads last year. Was it going to be anything like that this year? And they're saying they're getting the similar number of leads. So that's a relief, actually, and I think it's good news. For a lot of companies here, it's calming them down a bit in otherwise what still feels like an uncertain market, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. More uncertainty, perhaps, than there was 100 days ago. And I think internationally, of course, the US market remains a critical market. It is one of the biggest markets in the world. But companies are, of course, now able to look at markets all over the world. They always have been. But when you look at the current market today, I think companies are now saying we're going to have to explore more markets, not just the established markets. We feel this in a very specific way. So EIC, of course, as a trade association that has data on all the world's projects, offices around the world, we're able to measure, is a market doing well, because then we get asked less questions. If a market's not doing well, we're so busy with companies asking us so much about where's the new market, give us the right contact, give us better data on this project. That's what it feels like to us right now. Companies are working us very hard as they're looking at new markets around the world right now.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sparing some time to talk to us, as always. Good luck with the rest of the show, and we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, thanks Dan, and nice to see you as ever.